Manchester United Saudi Arabian Billionaire Takeover. What should they do next? In this video I will be discussing the potential Saudi Arabian takeover of Manchester United, which has been reported recently, analysing my 3-year plan for what I think the club should do if this takeover is complete. I will be proposing step-by-step analysis of what I would do in this position, from the managerial staff to the current squad to the transfers needed not just in the short term but also putting together a long-term plan. So keep watching till the end to see the full analysis. But before the video starts, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when we upload a video, such as the second part of our What If Pep Joined Manchester United and Mourinho Joined Manchester City back in 2016 video, which will be coming out shortly. You can watch the first part of the video, which will be linked in the eye above and in the description below, as well as our video analysing 3 realistic central midfield options that Manchester United should sign in January. Also, if you are looking for premium do-rags, bonnets and wave brushes, go to my friend's website jlavishdorags.com or to his Instagram and check out his high quality products. I'll leave a link to his website and Instagram in the description below for anyone who is interested. With supporters becoming increasingly frustrated with the Glazer running of the club, it seems like the first stone has been thrown in the direction of a potential sale of Manchester United. The prime candidates to facilitate this takeover is the Saudi Arabian royal family, who are looking to move into the football industry, just as their regional rivals, the UAE and Qatar, have with Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain respectively. If a takeover were to happen, how exactly should United go about transforming themselves into a club competing for both domestic titles and also in Europe? Well, the first step has to be setting out a 3 to 5 year plan. With a squad as dire as United's is right now, a complete summer transformation, turning them into a Manchester City or Liverpool level club is unrealistic. It needs to be a step-by-step process. Realistically, United should be looking to first establish themselves as the 3rd best club in the league in the 2020-2021 season, behind Liverpool and Manchester City, who at the moment are streets ahead of everyone else. The 2021-22 season should be looked at as a season to compete for the title and push to the quarterfinals or beyond in the Champions League. The 3rd season, the 2022-23 season, should be a campaign where United are expected to not only win the league but to get to at least the semi-finals of the Champions League. Winning the Champions League obviously depends on individual games within a season, so it's hard to put the expectation of winning the Champions League on a club, but United should certainly be getting to at least the semi-finals by the 3rd season. The next step has to be identifying the right managerial staff to be put in place in order to achieve this 3-year plan. Bringing in a director of football should be the top of the new owner's list of things to do, and for me, Luis Campos, a former Monaco director of football who is currently at Lille, would be the perfect man for the job. Campos has proven that he can build a squad capable of progressing into the latter stages of the Champions League from scratch at Monaco during the 2016-17 season, having brought in players like Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Benjamin Mendy and James Rodriguez, as well as identifying young talents such as Kylian Mbappe and Thomas Lemar. This is exactly what United need. A director of football who works primarily with big clubs, bringing in 1 or 2 players a season to fill a specific role in the squad that has no experience in building squads from scratch is not ideal, as United really need a full-scale rebuild. Along with a director of football, a new manager may have to be brought in as well. While Solskjaer hasn't had the best of hands at United in the last 10 months, I don't think the new owners can take the risk of giving Solskjaer another season and seeing what happens. They need to go out and get the best manager suited to this 3-year plan. This would entail being able to work with a director of football, be a good developer of players, as 10 world-class players won't be able to just be brought into the squad at once, and he must obviously be tactically sophisticated both throughout a season and in individual games. The candidate list for me would include Julian Nagelsmann, Thomas Tuchel and Mauricio Pochettino, but for me Pochettino has to be the number 1 target. He's worked for director of football at Spurs before and is an excellent developer of players, as seen with Dele Alli, Jan Vertonghen, Moussa Sissoko and Heung-min Son, and has shown his tactical sophistication throughout his spell at Tottenham, taking them to 2nd and 3rd place finishes in the league and pushing them to the Champions League final. He has the ability to make a team greater than some of its parts, something that Mourinho and Solskjaer have failed to do at Manchester United. He is tactically versatile, being able to use different systems from a 5-3-2 to a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-4-2 diamond, and it's looking like he may be vacating his role at Tottenham, which will mean United will avoid paying his £34 million release clause if they hire him. The 3rd step has to be related to the upcoming 2020-21 season, deciding which players have long-term futures at the clubs, which have roles to play for the next season, which are squad players and young players, and which are the deadwood that needs to be pushed off the wage bill. Without going through every player, this is the list that I would put together. Pogba has been omitted as I feel that he will have to be sold in the summer with only 2 years left on his contract, his heart seemingly elsewhere and still having the potential to bring in around £120 million. Players like Young, Matic, Mata and Jones are all dead wood, but I've included Eric Bailly in this as well. His contract runs out at the end of the season and his injury record means it's too much of a risk to hand him another year at the club. Lingard, Fred, Rojo, Daniel James and Romero are all squad players who will be needed to fill out the squad for next season, but won't be in the long-term first team plans of the club throughout the next few seasons. Brandon Williams, Anko Gomez, Axel Tuanzebe, Mason Greenwood and Diego Dallo are all young players who look promising but still need a lot of developing over the coming seasons. I'd put McTominay, Shaw and Lindelof in the category of short-term futures, as if United are to be long-term title challengers, I don't think they'll be critical first-team players in the long run, but for next season at least, they'll probably have to be first-team regulars. David De Gea, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka are the only 5 players of the whole squad that I would say are nailed-down first-team players for the next 3 seasons. Rashford, Martial and Wan-Bissaka still have another few levels to go up in order to fulfil their full potentials, and I feel like Pochettino is the perfect manager to enable them to do this. So what about transfers? Well, United need to abandon the strange transfer policies that the Glazers and Woodward have used over the past few seasons. The policy from 2014 to 2016 of bringing in players coming to the end of their peak was always going to leave the squad looking lethargic and slow in a season or two, and the policy of only bringing in British players is very odd, especially if there are better players on the market for a better price. United don't need to worry about their British players quota anymore. The director of football and manager need to identify the areas that need strengthening immediately, and the areas that are good enough for now but in the next few seasons will need to be improved upon in order to get to Liverpool and City's level. The areas that I think need immediate strengthening next summer are at left back, central midfield where 2 central midfielders need to be brought in, the right side of attacking midfield, and in the central attacking midfield position when Pogba is allowed to leave. This is about 5 players, which is a realistic amount to be brought in one summer. For the left back position, I would bring in Alejandro Grimaldo, who is 24 and has 1 year left on his contract, so would probably cost around £25 to £30 million. The central midfielders I would bring in would be Thomas Partey, who is 27 in the summer, who'd be able to play the role of an energetic box-to-box midfielder and would cost around £60 million. And I'd also bring in Eric Pulgar, who's 26 this summer, who is an all-round central midfielder, creating the most chances in Serie A this season with 3.7 per game, and the 3rd most tackles of any player with 3.4 per game. Pulgar would probably be attainable for around £30 million, having signed for Fiorentina this summer for around £8 million. To replace Paul Pogba, I'd bring in James Maddison, who recorded the most key passes in the league last season with 2.8 per game. He's only 22-23 in the summer and is versatile, so can play in a midfield 3, in front of a midfield 2 as an attacking midfielder, or even on the left as a wide playmaker if needed. He'd cost around £80 million but would be worth it in the long term in my opinion. If United could get Jadon Sancho for a fee in the region of £100 million, then I'd do that deal, which is possible considering his contract expires in 2022. If not, Hakim Ziyech of Ajax would be my backup option. Sancho, like Maddison, is a young English player who is worth shelling out a lot of money for. United would have the funds to do so, and it makes sense to bring in 2 players who are exactly what a Pochettino side would need, whilst also being young enough to develop over time and can truly become world-class players. This would be a transfer spend of £300 million, which would be £180 million net if Pogba could be sold to Real Madrid for £120 million. This squad will definitely be good enough to push Liverpool and Manchester City, and is in a majority made up of players under 24 who will develop at a rapid pace in the next few years, and by the time United are on course to be challenging for the Champions League and beyond in the 3-year plan, these players should be in and around their peak. This squad would obviously still need a lot of improvement in the long run. A centre-back alongside Maguire may be needed if Tuanzebe and Lindelof's development stagnates. Depth in the centre-forward area, attacking midfield and central midfield areas is also probably needed when players like Lingard, Fred and Pereira are moved on, but this is where young players like Brandon Williams, Anko Gomez and James Garner can come into the side and maybe become first-team regulars. Whether or not the Saudi Arabian takeover of Manchester United happens, United drastically need to reassess not just their transfer policy but their overall management as a whole. A director of football alongside a top-class manager is essential, and combine this with a well-thought-out plan for the next 3 to 5 years, then Manchester United could be back at the top of the European football summit like they were under Sir Alex Ferguson. Thank you for watching. Remember to give this video a like and a share if you enjoyed it. Hit the bell as well as the subscribe button so you get notified when the second part of our What If Pep joined Manchester United and Jose joined Man City back in 2016 video comes out, and check out some of our other videos that will be on the screen as well.